You live in the midst of deception. In their deceit, they refuse to acknowledge me, declares the Lord. That's Jeremiah 9:6. And every day I'm like, all right, let me talk about something uplifting and fruitful and loving. And yet when I go through the headlines, when I read what's going on, the things that are being said, especially to kids in schools, grade school, and even worse in universities, it's impossible not to focus on the deception we're under. Because when you have that relationship, when you come to know the Lord, you are not deceived by all of these things. But there was this Kansas University professor who was caught. Someone was recording on their phone, lecturing their students, lecturing his classroom, to which there was no really reaction, it didn't seem like, but telling them that any man who doesn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman should be lined up and shot. And that's not a joke. This is a professor at a major U.S. university telling his students that any man who doesn't vote for Kamala Harris because she's a woman should be lined up and shot. It's that type of rhetoric, it's that type of seeds being planted that foment hate, that have events like the Holocaust happening. And even saying something like that will trigger and incite people. But first of all, it's a straw man, because just because somebody doesn't vote for her doesn't mean they think she's incapable. Because he went on, he didn't just say because she's a woman and they don't think a woman is capable of leading or this or that. But it has nothing to do with that. There's so many levels of deception. But if you're just speaking on claims of a woman, which is even difficult to say in the same breath, because this is coming from a progressive side who can't define what a woman is. One of Kamala Harris' advisors today was asked about what are the differences, not today, but a few days ago, about the differences between her and Joe Biden. She said, well, obviously she's a woman and she's of color. And what does that even mean now to a group of people who say you can't define what a woman is? How can you even use that as some sort of bargaining chip? And then for this professor to say anyone who doesn't vote for a woman because they think women are incapable of leading should be lined up and shot. First of all, that rhetoric should never ever be used, regardless of what someone's gripe is with somebody. But for those who truly have a relationship with God, with the Most High God, that came to be known through Jesus Christ, there is an established order. A woman submits to a man submits to God. So any man who is submitted to God is going to treat his wife with love and respect and with care unlike any other. He's not going to harm her, because to harm her in any way, emotionally, physically, is to harm himself. But we live in a world where there is a lot of misogynistic men who are not living for God, who are not submitted to God. So then of course they're not going to treat women properly. But these types of things have been promoted in film and television for years and years. Look at all of the different culturally cool and accepted things. Rap culture, just think about what does that promote? It objectifies women, drugs, sex, everything else. All these things that do nothing for having a woman look to, or having a man look to a woman with respect. All of those things, the proper order, are only possible when you are submitted to God first. But we live in a world that is deceived because people have turned away from God, at least the one true God. And the only way that term should really be used is when you're talking about creator. The creator God, the Most High God, who revealed himself through Jesus Christ. There's a lot of imitators. There's a lot of small g gods. A lot of fallen angels, a lot of demons who have supernatural ability. They can woo the masses and people tap into it through the occult. But it is not the liberating freedom that is found in Christ when you have a relationship with the one true God who eliminates all deception. Because when you realize what's going on, you cannot be deceived to that level. There's a lot of people that will hear a professor like this and they'll applaud that in agreement, thinking, yeah, if somebody's not going to vote for Kamala, and they'll project whatever reasoning is being used to make this kind of blasphemous statement that anyone who doesn't vote for Kamala because she's a woman should be lined up and shot, when there has been cases in history where people are lined up and shot or put in a gas chamber or whatever. And don't fool yourself, that was only allowed, people were only indifferent to that because they had been gaslit into believing these people were worthy of that same demise. So when you hear this type of stuff, there'll be people that'll come out and say, oh, you shouldn't be saying that. But this is the same type of stuff that's been being said on both sides of many different cultural divisions and agendas being pushed. And the only way to war against it and to not fall for any of the lies is to submit to God. Then we all submit to one another. We all live to serve one another, not ourselves. To follow Christ is to live a selfless life, but this world wants us to be in a selfie-driven world. So do not be deceived. But the beautiful thing is in Psalm 110, it says, the deceit will have no part in the kingdom of heaven. So all of those who are pushing those lies, pushing the deceit, they will not be there. I got to pray for my heart to still be able to continue to pray for those who are deceived and are pushing out those agendas and lies because they're living in deceit. That prayer they will come to know the Lord so that they are not falling for the lies and therefore propagating those lies and that hate. That's the biggest thing we're up against right now. It's not flesh and blood, it's against spiritual principalities. So I pray this finds you well. God bless. See you tomorrow.